Oh,
Good, good, good
how'd
morning.
that happen?
Who knows? I blame the Israelis. You're watching.
Why not? Everybody else does.
You're watching DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. It is Thursday, January 8th, 2026. Happy New Year if you're still celebrating. Thank you so much for joining us. Please like, follow, and share the show. Some new things happening today. Robbie is going to come on and help explain that. I'm not sure that's working. We're working on a way to contribute to the show using Bitcoin, if that's your preferred method. I tried to activate that yesterday, but they threw me out of engineering school, as you know. So, maybe
that is true.
Maybe that didn't work. We'll see. Robbie will check that. We are going to, as usual, answer your questions. In the Rumble feed as well as the YouTube feed live. Just a few details, some housekeeping. TMI show at 10 o'clock after this. And in the 11 o'clock hour, it's the weekly DMZ America podcast with me and Scott Stantis. We have a guest who's very pertinent to today's news of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette closing. Rob Rogers, former editorial cartoonist for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, will be joining us in the 11 o'clock hour. He knows how the sausage was made. He was there for, I think, 26 years or so.
Wow.
So we will hear all about that. Anyway, for Robbie Aid, we are still a little bit short of what we need to get that $1,000. You guys have almost done the job, so we're trying to get over the finish line.
Thanks.
Hopefully we can do it today so we don't have to talk about this tomorrow. So please contribute to allowing us to keep Robbie on as our producer. The GoFundMe is DeProgram Robbie. Just go to GoFundMe and search for DeProgram Robbie, or you can click the entire URL that I just put into the screen, GoFundMe.com/F/DeProgram Robbie. Okay, John, obviously we're going to be talking about the developments in Venezuela. The government is, as you mentioned a couple of days ago, government forces have set up checkpoints. They're taking people out of their cars, searching their phones to see if they were yay, we're very happy about what happened to Maduro or not. So when you I want to talk about how governments that are subject to American intervention can become paranoid and turn on their own people, and that's a consequence that we may not fully appreciate. Maduro's been claiming to be a POW, and he might have, inadvertently, the White House may be helping him make that defense when he's in court in New York. We'll talk about that.
May I interrupt you on that point?
Please.
So I've spoken 1,000 times about my friend, Bruce Fein.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Fein, the former acting Deputy Attorney General of the United States under Reagan, great attorney, constitutional scholar. He called me last night about 10 o'clock. And I said, "Oh, Bruce, I'm so glad you called. We're talking about writing this book together. I was working on the book and I had a thought I wanted to pass by you." He says, wait a minute. You'll never guess who hired me to represent him. I said, who? He said, I spent the entire day with Nicolás Maduro. I said, you've got to be kidding me. So as he's telling me, I'm Googling Bruce Fein Maduro. And sure enough, boom, there it is. Bloomberg, BBC, New York Times, CNN. I said, so you and Barry Pollock? He said, yes, Barry Pollock and I are going to be the trial attorneys. And he said that he thinks the case is strong. The CIA kidnapped Maduro. The charges are specious. It talks about organizations that he allegedly headed that don't exist, which we've talked about here on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, stay tuned. This is going to be a hell of a case.
Please invite him onto the show.
Absolutely will.
Okay, great.
Absolutely will. But may I add another thing, Ted? I think that even with all that's going on with Maduro and Venezuela and now Gustavo Petro being invited to the United States, we should also talk about what happened in Minneapolis yesterday.
100%. That's the big news of the day.
Yeah.
I listened in real time to NPR this morning, basically for an hour and a half, and they did something I have not heard them do for any story in my memory. They kept first of all, they kept coming back to the same story every 15 minutes or so. I've just never heard them do that.
Yeah.
In the morning news, and they were trying to cover it live. They were trying to reach out for comment to the Minneapolis Attorney General, the Minnesota Attorney General, and they kept having technical problems getting him on the line. We know what that's like. But the point is, they don't usually do that. Usually, these shows are all pre-recorded, and they're not like eager to cover it. This seems different, right? So we should talk about that first. Yeah. Foremost, and we'll talk also later about. I do want to talk about Colombia and Gustavo Petro and Trump's withdrawal from the climate change treaty, which I think is probably not that big a deal, but nevertheless, we should touch upon it. And all right, so
let me ask you real quickly before we jump in: if you were Gustavo Petro, would you accept this invitation?
I'd be scared.
I would too.
Because I'd think, like, what if this fucking maniac? Like, what if he kidnaps me? Exactly. What if I show up and he's like, ha ha, he's, Donald Trump, he's the ultimate troll. I mean, this would be hilarious to him. I'm sure.
It would be.
Like, just like I, invite him and it's like, slap the cuffs on him and haul him off and he can share a cell with Maduro, right?
And like we said day before yesterday, Colombia has major non-NATO ally status. Okay, this is a close friend of the United States and has been for a long time. So is Denmark. So, I agree with you. Donald Trump is the ultimate troll. I think he enjoys it. I think it's fun for him.
Totally. He's laughing his ass off. I mean, he tries to be all stern in public, but he's literally laughing his ass off.
And Robbie says, wouldn't he have diplomatic immunity? He has better than diplomatic immunity. He has head of state immunity.
Mm-hmm.
But so does Nicolás Maduro, presumably.
Right. And so did Manuel Noriega.
And so did
Saddam Hussein.
That's right.
And Muammar Gaddafi.
Yeah. We had a question before we even started the show about whether or not there was a Hezbollah presence or an Iranian presence in Venezuela. I actually wrote about that for the Los Angeles Times. You know what the Iranian presence is in Venezuela?
Nope.
They own and operate a bicycle factory.
That's it?
That is it.
Well,
and then but the argument from the State Department is that, that bicycle factory can be converted into a widget factory for tanks.
Oh yeah, what is that called? It's not retooling, but basically, right? The repurposing.
Yeah.
That's like the aluminum. That's like the aluminum tubes controversy from the Iraq War.
Iraq, exactly.
I mean, at that point, anything can be weaponized, right?
Literally anything, which is one of the ways that we were able to squeeze apartheid South Africa. They're like, we need tubes for the sewers. The sewers are breaking down. No, the tubes can be used to launch missiles. No tubes for you.
Ridiculous. It's like, totally insane. No, I have to say, if I were Gustavo Petro, I might need like written in blood assurance that I was not going to be arrested.
Yes.
But I'm not sure that would even be enough. I might be like, maybe we can do this by Zoom, Donald.
Exactly.
Or I might say, why don't we meet somewhere else? Why don't we meet in Mexico? And Claudia will host the festivities. We'll have good margaritas. You'll have virgin ones. It'll be great.
Yeah. See,
that would be my suggestion. Yeah. I that was my first thought. I was like, are you going to fall for that? It's like, and Petro seems like a naive fellow.
I think he's one of these guys who was never really interested in politics. He ran for president just because he thought it was the right thing to do for his country. He won because he was the right candidate at the right time. He's not a professional politician. He probably would be perfectly happy just to go about his normal business and not be bogged down with these issues. And here he is wondering, Should I go to the White House? Is he going to kidnap me? Should I risk it? I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like Václav Havel made an easier pivot to the presidency of a country than Petro did. Well, we'll see.
I agree.
Plus, I worry if I'm Petro, like maybe Donald Trump thinks that I'm an oil company. Look at my name. He might want to nationalize me. Look, I do want to talk to F. So thanks for the two for. Then Trump says we control Venezuela oil, but do we control the coffee? Will you be hawking Trump coffee on Rumble now? I could maybe get behind cheaper coffee prices if the president can help us there, because I'm an addict. I need my fix.
And I drink vast amounts of coffee all day. I'll tell you what, my partner objects vociferously to Starbucks. I like Starbucks. I like the coffee. I like the different choices of the coffee.
It's not as bad as it used to be.
It's not as bad as it used to be. But she believes that they are supportive of Israel, and she wants me to boycott Starbucks. So for a while, I was like trying not to go to Starbucks, but sometimes I would go. And then she bought me this DeLonghi coffee maker, espresso machine that makes the most wonderful coffee I have ever had in my life. And I only rarely go to a Starbucks now. And even then, only at the airport when I have to take some 5 a.m. godforsaken flight to Miami or whatever.
We should have a coffee off. I'm personally partial to a Dutch maker, the Technoverm. It's very expensive, beautiful machine. One of my fans bought it for me.
Wow.
It's also gorgeous, but also makes the best coffee I've ever had in my life.
So, that's fantastic.
I don't know.
Fantastic.
Anyway,
I'm loving it.
Change it. Yeah, no, it's like the machine is really underrated. People don't, they think, the water is also a super important, component too.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Google Khomeini have a question for us. Are we sure that it's about the oil and not the U.S. dollar?
No, I think it's about the dollar.
Yeah.
More than the oil.
Well, the oil will prop up the dollar.
Yeah. I think he's right. I think it is about the dollar. We said years ago, I don't remember if I was doing the show with Michelle or doing the show with Brian or whatever, but I think we were all pretty much in agreement that when Kuwait did that oil sale to China, and I'm going to say it was like 2019 or 2018, and accepted payment in yuan, that got the whole ball rolling.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's about the dollar, not necessarily about the oil.
Yeah, no, in the corridors of the Federal Reserve Bank, they've got to kind of be shitting bricks. See what I did there?
Yeah.
All right. So, Manya the cat, John and Ted, I appreciate you guys not speculating for clicks and have stuck to verified facts so far. Really refreshing coverage in this day and age. Thank you so much. And by the way, it's paying off. John, this is now, without a doubt, like the fastest growing news show on Rumble.
It's crazy.
We had a video yesterday that was number one.
Are you kidding me? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's true. If I read that correctly. So yeah, this is might be Rumble. You might be able to say this is a highly trusted news source nowadays. So
I'm so glad
we have standards to.
But I'm so proud that we don't make outrageous allegations for clicks and then prove to be mistaken later. I won't do that.
John,
and I know you won't either.
And I've always thought that media people who admit that they're wrong or that they don't know. My mom used to say that the three most powerful words in the English language are "I don't know," and I think that when you fuck up and you say, you know what, I checked that thing, I said yesterday, it turned out to be wrong. I'm sorry. That gives me credibility. When I hear someone do that, I'm like, oh, okay. And when it's real, and as opposed to, you splashed Iraq has WMDs in 60-point font across the front page, and then page
Yeah.
17 below the fold, 1 inch. Oh, well, actually, not
Yeah.
so much.
Uh-huh.
Then that's not a real apology. It's
No.
not a real retraction.
No, it's not. Absolutely true.
Nicholas Frankos, Europeans say that an attack on Greenland will be the end of NATO, but this is more of a European problem than an American. The Europeans need NATO more than the U.S. does. Oh, I agree with that second part for sure.
And Trump has talked about how the United States does not need NATO, that it's antiquated. But he's right. And did you say it was Nick?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Nick is right as well. What the Europeans need is a NATO that is just the European Union countries.
Yeah, they should just have and they could do. Look, honestly,
and the UK.
NATO is based in Brussels.
Yeah,
they don't need us to be a member. It could be like fly free little birds. You guys are now. You have your own thing. You have your monetary union. You have your political union. Do military. Self-defense too. Although, frankly, I still kind of don't know why they need it. But if they want it, let them have it. But I'm with Trump. Why are we paying for it? Why are we involved? Why do we, why are we part of this hair trigger scheme? It's, it was largely responsible for the Ukraine invasion. I mean, it's like,
yes,
or it prompted it, I should say.
Sure.
Okay, so John, let's talk about Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
So, do you want to?
And you watched the videos, yeah?
I did.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I did too. So yesterday afternoon, there was an ICE operation or a series of ICE operations in Minneapolis, Minnesota. There were protesters who were communicating by text message. There's a text list where people can blast locational information of ongoing ICE operations. Mm-hmm. So there were people protesting the fact that ICE had gone into this neighborhood and they were grabbing people. There's a woman. It's unclear if she was a protester or not. It
seems so. It looks more likely than not.
But the other protesters who were there said that she was not, one of the leaders or, the person who called the protest or whatever. She just happened to be there. She appears to have gotten scared, jumped in her car to drive away. And an ICE officer just opened fire on the car and shot her in the face and killed her instantly. Mm-hmm. She crashed into 2 other cars about 15 feet down the road. But then the ICE officer got in his car and took off. So the propaganda lies that the Department of Homeland Security put out were that the woman tried to run the cop over. I watched every video from every angle. That is a lie. Period.
It is a lie.
It's a lie.
The mayor of Minneapolis called it in literally quote unquote bullshit.
That's right.
Governor Tim Walz was also furious and said that he doesn't believe the federal government's story.
No, this was a cold-blooded murder in broad daylight in front of dozens of witnesses. If he had, listen, the standard operating procedure, and I don't care if you're with ICE or Secret Service or FBI or CIA or whatever, when you open fire on someone and you kill them, the investigation starts there. And you don't get in your car and run away.
You have to credibly believe that you're in fear for your life.
They actually told us in training, God forbid you have to draw your weapon and shoot someone. But if you do, the magic words are, I was in fear for my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't get in the car and run away.
But it's also all local police departments are trained, not to stand in front of cars.
Yes.
I think sometimes the cops try to do that because they figure, people will not run them over.
Right.
But, your body's not going to win a fight with a 3,000 or 10,000 pound vehicle.
Important point about that too. The bullet hole in the windshield is at the very bottom left of the windshield, right? Bottom in the corner by the driver's seat. But the angle is such that the shooter, the ICE agent, was on the side of the car, not in front of the car. So this notion that she was trying to run him over, it's complete bullshit.
No,
So
I mean,
one of our
there's there's other issues here. There's a lot of issues to unpack here. I mean, also the Supreme Court has ruled that it doesn't constitute probable cause to arrive at a police checkpoint and flee. That's not, you are allowed to do that. You can just, like, let's say it's a DUI checkpoint. You can do a U-turn and leave, and the cops are not allowed to consider that evidence of guilt or anything.
That's right.
So she was clearly trying to leave. Also, apparently there were witnesses who said that she, and other community activists who said that she was given conflicting information, commands by the ICE agents. And I mean, it's just, yeah, I mean, I guess we knew that something like this was going to happen. They're hiring from the bottom of the barrel.
They are,
for these positions.
Yeah, they are.
These are in many cases people who were fired by police departments for not being fit.
It's just like the Bureau of Prisons. You get fired from the local police department, or you wash out of the local police academy. You can't ever make it into the FBI or something like that. You tried your luck in the military and couldn't make it there. And so you end up at ICE. Nobody's going to care if you crack foreign heads. And that's what happens. And I'll tell you what, there was a piece in the Washington Post just a couple of days ago that the Secret Service is looking to expand by 40%. Disgusting. 40%. They're going to be standing on street corners yelling for people, hey, you want to work for the Secret Service? Come on over. No qualifications necessary, and we'll give you a gun. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and then, of course, and part and parcel of all this is that Trump wants to increase defense spending by 50% to $1.5 trillion annually. Knowing Congress, they'll probably say, hey, how about 1.6? They literally give the Pentagon more than they ask for. John, for me, the part that really jumped out was how quickly Homeland Secretary Kristi Noem and other administration officials immediately came to the defense of the ICE officer, instead of simply saying, look, everybody needs to remain calm. We're going to investigate and find out what happened. And if there's, if something was done wrong, then, that officer will be disciplined or charged as needed. And if not, he will not be. But instead, when she said, immediately, she weaponized her car, she committed an act of domestic terrorism. Yes,
domestic terrorism.
And that she refused orders, and that she had been stalking ICE. And that this is how the fix is in, right? I mean, there's no pretense here of objectivity or of interest in getting to the bottom of it. I'd be more likely to believe the possibility that this ICE guy did nothing wrong. It's just a tragic accident, if not for this response. I mean, there's no world in which Kristi Noem wasn't going to say something like that, right?
No, of course.
And that sucks.
That's Kristi Noem. That's what she does. Yeah, I agree completely.
Her credibility is completely in the toilet.
Absolutely.
And I don't think anybody believes. I mean, so John, I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. We always do here. This is different because she's a U.S. citizen and she's a white woman in Minnesota.
That's right.
And that's why, she's not, former gangbanger. She's not Latino. She's not a dude. She's not, like a guy who used to beat his wife. She's this nice Minnesota lady.
Yes.
The press is going to be on this like white on rice, and it's not going to go away. I mean, I don't know what the administration should do, but they've got a serious crisis on their hands now.
Well, let me ask you, this is a crime involving a federal agent, but there's no federal angle to it other than that. This is a woman who's a resident of Minnesota, shot and killed in Minnesota by a federal officer carrying out an operation in Minnesota. So is it a state crime that may have been committed, or is it a federal crime?
Or is it a local crime? I mean, it seems like, look, this is like, maybe if we get Bruce to come on, we can ask him this question. It's a lawyer question, but it seems to me like Minneapolis PD would be the investigating authority here. a local crime was committed. ICE officers don't have diplomatic immunity, right? I mean, they can't be put on a plane and sent back to Riyadh. These are they can't. If an ICE officer rapes someone in Minnesota, they're going to be arrested by the local authorities, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. So if an ICE officer shoots someone in Minnesota, they should be arrested by the local authorities. It would be a state crime. It's like when we were talking about the Charlie Kirk killing. What in the world was Kash Patel doing there? It was a crime.
Grandstanding.
It was a crime committed in Utah.
No state borders were crossed.
No, exactly. Well, it looks to me to be the same situation here. So we already know the fix is in at the federal level, but I don't think this was a federal crime.
I also think that the more likely than not, because of the politics of Minneapolis and Minnesota, and Tim Walz right now is like probably not loving the fact that his citizen died. I'm not saying that, but he's probably loving the opportunity to be seen as doing something positive, as opposed to having to explain away this Somali corruption scandal that he's dealing with and having to drop out of his reelection campaign. So this is definitely a better place for him. And charging this ICE officer is going to be, I think, a no-brainer for him popular. and for the mayor.
This will be a wildly popular decision if
they're going to charge him, right?
They're going to have to. This woman. Listen, I watched this video like you did a dozen times last night.
Yeah.
She was turning the wheel to go around another ICE vehicle that was blocking the road. She clearly was not aiming to hit this officer. In fact, if anything, he jumped in front of her car.
He did jump in front of her. Yeah. Now, that was my take as well. All right, let's answer some questions. And okay, so Beastie Ninja. John, question for you. What do you make of the death of MI6 agent Gareth Williams? Always struck me as strange that investigators weren't able to single-handedly recreate the circumstances of his death.
I remember when that happened, but I don't know enough to answer the question. I will absolutely look into it, though.
Okay. Robert Schur, what do we think about the Taiwan-China situation? Seems to be excited by what's going on with Maduro. No question. I mean, I think there must be meetings at the highest level in China thinking like, is this something we want to do? And if so, is it something we want to do soon? I mean, obviously they've thought about this many times. My take has always been that they planned to just absorb it economically, and they didn't need an invasion, a military invasion. I don't really know what China gains by invading Taiwan, really. I mean,
no.
I know domestically when I've gone to China and talked to people about it, especially young people are very agitated, and they view it as an affront that to Chinese national pride that Taiwan is not reunited with China. They view it like this is a colonial legacy. This is the U.S. that peeled it away back, for Chiang Kai-shek, and like it's ours and we want it back. So I wonder if this would be a way of shoring up that, the sort of the Zoomers and the millennials.
Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, I don't see what China would gain by invading or attacking Taiwan. Don't see anything positive.
If I were sitting in the room in Beijing, I would say probably don't do it. I'd vote no. Thanks for the $5, Young Courthouse. John, can you give us a lightning round breakdown as to the people gone missing in Saudi Arabia? Who sponsors who and why? Who shot who in the what now?
Who shot who in the what now?
I'm glad that
I love that. That's one of my all-time favorite lines from The Simpsons.
I'm glad.
Sir, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I shot your wooden leg. Who shot who in the what now? First I should ask, are you talking about just regular people? Because there are a lot that go missing in Saudi Arabia. Or are you talking about specific Saudis? But I can say, normal people going missing in Saudi Arabia, it happens all the time.
And
not just in Saudi Arabia. Some of them are killed by their sponsors. Some of them, as soon as they arrive, they take off, and because their sponsors retain their passports, they just kind of go into that underground society of people in Saudi Arabia illegally. There are a couple of ways to get into Saudi Arabia. Well, now you can go, like for us, we could go as tourists if we wanted to, or on a business visa. But for most people entering Saudi Arabia, you're going either on a Hajj Umrah visa, or you're going on a work visa where you're going to be a domestic, a driver, a cook, a street sweeper, whatever. Most of those people are from the Indian subcontinent, the Philippines, places like that, East Africa. So a lot of times, I'll give you an example. When I was stationed in Kuwait, the Indian ambassador told me that an Indian woman went to Kuwait to work as a domestic. Her sponsor immediately began raping her, and at one point brought two of his friends over to the house to gang rape her. They ended up tying her to a chair and they threw her out of a third-story window.
Jesus.
She lived. And the police charged her with the crime of attempted suicide, which is a very serious crime in the Middle East. So that's what people are up against. In Saudi Arabia, in many cases, it's even worse, where you so brutally rape your housemaid that you end up killing her, and then you just bury her out in the desert, and nobody's the wiser. That happens all the time.
And nobody cares. It's sort of the way it used to be in Mexico, where leftists would just turn up buried in the scrub.
Exactly. It's sickening.
We have an ad. Robbie's going to feed that up. In the meantime, should we talk a little bit about Maduro's claim to be a POW? So I was fascinated by this piece in the New York Post, of all places. But basically, there's concern on the part of the DOJ that the fact that Trump continues to recognize. Oh, let me read this ad. Here it is, and then I'll finish my thought. They can cancel your accounts, freeze your cards, decide what you're allowed to buy, say, or support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control, and they use it. That's why financial independence matters more now than ever. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a wallet built for real freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company. Buy digital assets like Tether Gold, and Bitcoin in one secure place. No permission, no middleman, no cancel button. And when you want to support the creators you actually believe in, you could use the Rumble Wallet app to directly tip content creators, something we're working on here, securely, instantly, and without interference. This isn't a credit card they can shut off. It's your wallet permanently, yours to protect your future, yours to protect your family. When the system fails, when institutions turn on their own people, financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability. Rumble Wallet isn't about politics. It's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what's yours. So take control today. Download Rumble Wallet now and step away from the big banks for good. True ownership, true protection, true financial freedom. So yeah, what the New York Post is arguing, John, is that the Trump administration, because the Trump administration has recognized basically the line of succession post Maduro. The vice president has stepped in. She's been sworn in as the acting president. The constitutional order under the Bolivarian Republic stands in place. So therefore, the United States is effectively acknowledging the legitimacy of the government that Maduro is still legally the head of state of. Because of that, he is by definition a prisoner of war.
Yeah.
He is not just a simple criminal suspect in a civilian court fending off drug trafficking charges.
Yes.
I think your buddy Bruce has got something to work with there.
Bruce thinks he has something to work with. He does. And let's give Barry Pollock his props. Barry Pollock is one of the greatest trial attorneys, one of the greatest criminal defense attorneys anywhere in America. You want Barry Pollock on your side. So
by the way, I've never seen, obviously this will be a kangaroo court. They always are.
Sure.
But still, I've never seen one that seems to give let's put it this way, a less shitty chance to the defendant than this one.
Yeah, this is bad. And in addition, I did more research on the judge,
oh God,
Hillerman or whatever the heck his name is. He's a 92-year-old Clinton appointee.
Mm-hmm.
He is the chief judge. He has senior status, so he normally only works 20 hours a week. And he's the subject of multiple complaints that he falls asleep in court, sound asleep in court. Like there were reports I read yesterday where he's actually snoring while the trial is going on.
It's fucking outrageous.
So I asked Bruce last night, I said, so does he recuse himself? And he said something like that would not call for a recusal. You have to recuse yourself for a specific reason, not I'm an old man and I can't stay awake. That's not a legal reason to recuse yourself. He can decide that he was just the judge for the arraignment and now pass it off to another judge, put it in the wheel and let the wheel spin and see what judge comes up. But yeah, I mean, if he decides to do this trial himself, and remember, this trial could last for years.
Right.
So
he could end up 95.
Years. 95 years old, sound asleep on the bench.
Think about the complexities of this case. Nicolás Maduro is the sitting president of Venezuela, a major country, largest oil producing country in the world, right? It's like, well, largest oil, I should say, reserves in the world. And my stupid case against the LA Times lasted 5 years and it never even was resolved. So this could easily be at least that long.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
It's insane. I mean, yeah, the American legal system is an incredibly effective delay mechanism. It's all it does, right? It's just
absolutely
kicks the can down the road. I mean, wow. Okay, then let's do some more questions. And we're number 10 in the country on Rumble, so that's kind of cool.
Thank you for that.
What do you make of the speculation, Elliot Covert is asking, that Trump did Venezuela in order to have an alternative oil supply if we attack Iran and Iran shuts down the Strait of Hormuz? I don't think it works that way. It's not like we need a specific source of oil. It's a global market, right? I mean, like the Canadians in Alberta make the same, they drill the same kind of heavy crude the Venezuelans do. So it's like, we need that. We get it from them. I mean, I do think this comes down to it trying to juice the economy. Now, the joke here is it ain't going to work. I mean, we've got the midterms coming up in 10, 11 months. It's like there's no fucking way to get Venezuela up and running, modernize all the equipment, and then and bring additional resources online, even within 2-3 years. I mean, much less. It's not going to happen within the Trump administration.
No, can't happen. There's not enough time.
But I think it's like, so the only thing I can think of is maybe it'll prime futures markets, but I don't think that's going to work either. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of exploration and exploitation taking place all over the world, and remember, new things coming online.
Remember, when oil hits $65 a barrel, and it's about like 65 now, 63, something like that. That's when it becomes cost effective to initiate fracking operations. So long as that level is maintained at 65, we can frack. And I'm opposed to fracking, but as a country, we could frack to our heart's content because we're sitting on an ocean of shale oil.
It's especially
everywhere.
In your home state of Pennsylvania.
Especially in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Let's talk about the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, your hometown. You're not from Pittsburgh, but
from Newcastle.
That was the big paper where you grew up. So they're wrapping up. They're shutting down. They're closing. This is the biggest, highest profile newspaper closure so far. Up until now, it was a big deal that the Canton Repository, also in the same part of the country in Eastern Ohio, it also shut down. That was considered a big deal.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
This is many factors bigger than that.
This is a major national paper. It really is. It really is.
It's the beginning of the end now.
print media.
By the way, I would say part of the same, you mentioned the Block family before we went on the air that owns the paper. They also own the Toledo Blade. Toledo is a highly depressed community, has been for years. At one point, the city asked local people who had lawnmowers to please cut their local parks' grass because they couldn't afford to cut the grass in the local parks. Toledo Blade's gone. I think they're next or soon to be, or imminent, I would say.
The Block family claims to have lost something like $300 million over the last 20 years.
That's probably true.
With the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. You and I were talking before the show started. My hometown paper, the Newcastle News, now doesn't publish on Wednesdays, Saturdays, or Sundays. The Youngstown Vindicator, which was a big regional paper in and of itself, stopped printing years ago and is online only. The Pittsburgh Press, which was the afternoon paper, has ceased to exist. What's next? The Cleveland Plain Dealer. I think the Plain Dealer might, maybe I'm wrong, might be online only. I can't recall anymore. But anyway, this is the biggest paper in the region to go kaput, but it's not the only one. And the trend is clear. Newspapers, print papers are done.
As a local, did you deliver the paper when you were
I did for years. I bought, we had to buy paper routes back then. So I still remember I paid $7 per customer. My mother took me to First National Bank in Newcastle when I was 10. I took out a loan, which of course she co-signed. And every week I would go back and pay $15 to pay off, or every month to pay off my loan. So I had 55 customers. I delivered the Newcastle News to all 55. And there were a couple of, big city people who also got the Pittsburgh Press and one or two that got the Vindicator. My mom and dad also got the Vindicator. But those days are gone. Nobody gets a hard copy newspaper delivered to their home anymore.
Nobody does. Look, even I'm a fanatic, and I stopped getting the print New York Times delivered for a simple reason, John, that they delivered the, you get the paper and you're like, well, I've read all of this online yesterday, word for word. So why am I paying for this in print? My theory was always that the way to adapt to the internet, if you owned a newspaper, was that the print edition should be analysis of the news that broke yesterday online. The content should not be. They shouldn't be repurposed. It shouldn't be redundant. If you're enough of a news consumer to take a print paper, you don't. You deserve. You're probably already reading online too. So there's no reason to treat them as two separate products when it's the same clientele.
Like you, I subscribe to a whole bunch of newspapers because we need to see what's going on in the world. So I get the New York Times, the LA Times, the Washington Post, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, only for Steelers, Pirates, and local. That's the only reason I do.
Seriously, who's going to report that? I know it's only sports, right? Although sports are very important to people. But 90% of all news originates in the newsroom of a print newspaper. So, when Pittsburgh local TV or a Pittsburgh local news website or Pittsburgh, NPR, they do a local story, the odds are it came out of the PG, out of the Post-Gazette.
Absolutely right.
What's going to happen now?
Absolutely right. It just goes away. And it's not like there's a giant Associated Press office in Pittsburgh. Now, the Post-Gazette has a long and very terrible history with its union employees. And they took a swipe at the union saying, well, the contract we negotiated that the court made us respect, it's not a good contract, so we're going to shut down. You would expect that from a union busting, family of billionaires. So,
they're very right wing. They
very
fired,
right wing.
Rob Rogers, the cartoonist, who's coming on DMZ in an hour and a half. He was fired for criticizing Trump in his cartoons by the Block family.
That's right. So, the workers during a strike a few years ago set up their own paper, online paper, and I think it was Frasmataz who told me to start subscribing to it, and I did, and it was excellent. But I think maybe my computer automatically sends it now to spam because I haven't seen it in a long time, and the name of it escapes me. But I'm gonna find it again. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to have to rely on that, but it's a shoestring operation. It's not a newspaper. And frankly, I'm not sure what I'm going to do now for local news. Another funny thing about the Newcastle News, my local hometown paper, I think I pay $99 a year for the Washington Post, 99 for the LA Times, maybe 120 for the New York Times. But the Newcastle News is $299 a year, and I will not do it. The last time I was in town, I bought a hard copy of the Newcastle News when I stopped to get gas. And page 1, above the fold, giant picture, is this guy on the east side grew a 220-pound pumpkin. And I'm like, no, I'm not.
Stop the presses.
I'm not doing this.
Yeah, I always see. I always marvel at those papers that have those like quote unquote human interest stories.
Yeah.
In this day and age, what are you guys doing? Really? It's not Mayberry. It's not 1922.
Exactly. Nobody gives a shit about the giant pumpkin on the east side.
I give no shits about the giant pumpkin. Let's bring in Robbie to talk about a few things. Robbie, if we can talk about Robbie Aid, if we can talk about Rumble and basically that migration, and then we can move on with we'll address our friend Phil's comments. Yeah, he's accusing us of lying. So
okay,
let's get into that. All right.
Well, all right. So we'll start little and work our way up. Robbie Aid is nearly finished. So seriously, my sincerest thanks to everyone that contributes. That's what allows me to do this. Without y'all's support, I would have to do something else. So thank you all for allowing me to work on the show and let me do what I love to do. As far as Rumble Wallet goes, we are getting it set up. We're just working on getting the integration linked up with the channel. That should happen later on today. I'll work with Ted once we're off air and make this all go live and start working. So that way y'all can start donating through Rumble using cryptocurrency, which is huge because, well, that means you're effectively cancelable. No one can stop it, which is very nice. And lastly, we are currently number 10 on the country on Rumble, and I'm looking at the numbers right here. YouTube has got 550 people. I want to ask about 100 of y'all come over here and join us on Rumble. That will push us up easily into the top 5, and that does 2 things for us. One, it helps discoverability. Number 2, Rumble, unlike YouTube, pays John and Ted based off of their watch hours. So if a lot of people watch on both platforms, which is great. But if you come over and watch on Rumble, one, they helps them get bigger paychecks. Number 2, if you become a channel subscriber for only $5 a month, you can get premium content that we can't put on YouTube because it's too spicy. Number 2, unlike YouTube, John and Ted keep 100% of that money. Rumble does not take a dime of it. It stays here, and it allows us to reinvest into the channel, allows us to reinvest in what is it we're building here. Lastly, I just want to point this out. Earlier, in the middle of last year, YouTube demonetized John and Ted. YouTube suppressed John and Ted. Rumble has not done that. So seriously, come on over. If you're worried about free speech like I am, then come over to Rumble. Get off the digital plantation, and that's coming from a Southerner.
All right, thank you very much for that, Robbie. All right, so let's address Phil. We're of course been talking about this woman in Minneapolis who was shot to death by the ICE agent. Phil says, you're really going with these lies? There's video of the woman actively trying to ram ICE agents for an extended period of time, multiple times. There's video of this terrorist hitting the officer. This woman, like hundreds of other people, have been actively hunting down and using their cars to obstruct ICE officers.
Wrong. I watched the videos. I'm not blind. I saw what happened.
Phil, just, I mean, seriously, it's so interesting how people can see different things. Obviously, John and I are on the same page here. Look, she definitely was on a public street. and she probably was part of a group of people who were following ICE around. And she
Sure.
may have been blocking the street with her car.
Yeah, you don't get the death penalty for that without
Exactly.
trial.
You took the words right out of my mouth. So even if we stipulate that that's all true, they acted horribly unprofessionally. They didn't follow common sense or training. For that matter, they didn't really act to keep themselves safe, right? I mean, that also is one of the things that law enforcement officers are supposed to do.
And may I add something? All federal officers are trained that if one of their own is in imminent threat, in imminent danger of death, if she were actively trying to run them over, every one of them would have opened fire on that car. Every single one of them. That's the training. So one shot from one cop, bullshit. She was not trying to run anybody over.
Look, in LA, they got rid of all the high speed chases. Like in a situation this, they just let's just say, for the sake of argument, that she decided to weaponize her car and take off, right? Well, the smart move is let her go. I mean, after all, you have helicopters, you have drones, you can follow her, you can put down, what are those things called? The strips with the spikes to stop the car later. You can set up a checkpoint later. I mean, it's let her go. It's not, she didn't have a gun. She wasn't going to kill anybody. So, that's if you're assuming the worst, which I just don't. Goyam Slayer.
That's great.
John, what do you think of the 2012 Benghazi attack on the secret CIA compound?
Yeah.
That we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're talking about Benghazi.
It was a series of, it was the result of a series of poor decisions. And, Hillary Clinton could not have come out any worse or looking any worse. She dismissed it. It was no big deal. It wasn't important enough. It was about, this stupid film that some guy made and was circulating on DVDs. It's the duty of the government to protect its employees. And we lost 3 contractors. We lost the U.S. ambassador to Libya and 2 State Department officers. Absolutely inexcusable what happened in Benghazi.
It's a fucking fiasco.
It was.
John McGuire, thanks so much for the $20 over on YouTube. I have plenty of questions to ask, but you're towards the end of the feed.
Oh, thank you
for the show you put in. Yeah, we're around tomorrow. You can ask us then. Thanks for the 10 Canadian dollars, Alira's Amagasami. Thoughts on Trump's third term theory. Step 1, states cannot interpret the Constitution. Only Supreme Court can. Step 2, Supreme Court disqualifies Trump, but says enforcing it is on Congress.
Yeah. I think that in the unlikely event that Trump were to try to run for a third term, I think those are the arguments right there. But there is almost nobody in Congress, Republican or Democrat, that would stand for that. Because especially on the Senate side, well, first of all, on the House side, Trump wouldn't have the votes, right? The Democrats are expected to win the House. End of story on the House side. On the Senate side, most of the Republican senators, it's my own experience, fear Trump rather than respect Trump. And so I don't see, except for Her Majesty Lindsey Graham leading the fake MAGA wing. I just don't see Trump pulling the strength necessary from the Senate side to make anything happen.
Currently, that's how I see it too. Okay, so we have some plain truth. Says deportations won't stop. Liberal protesters are just looking for violence. Even if we stipulate that that's true, which I don't. I think the liberal protesters are just trying to stop deportations.
Yeah.
But even if we stipulate that they were, hoping for something like this to happen, which is too cynical for me to believe, I think then in that case, ICE is supposed to. They're the adults. They're trained law enforcement officers. They're supposed to not be trolled and not be provoked. It's sort of like when cops say, like, oh, well, he was insulting me. He called me names. And it's like, you're a big boy. You're supposed to be trained for that. You're supposed to be impervious to that.
Besides the fact that that's constitutionally protected free speech.
100%. You can give the finger to a cop. You can tell him to fuck off.
Which I have on multiple occasions, right to their faces, and there's nothing they can do about it.
All right, let's do rapid fire answers here. John, do you think there was someone working closely with Maduro who was actually working with the CIA? That was reported.
Yes, I do.
And
with the military.
Jones, you guys already kind of answered it, but I asked a question regarding the jurisdiction of the ICE shooting at the beginning. If you have time to answer it, yeah, Minneapolis PD, right?
It's got to be.
Got to be. Black Panther, what's going on with U.S.-India relations currently? Talked about a little bit yesterday.
Trump loves India, and India loves Trump. And Trump and Modi have a very friendly and strong relationship going back to the first term.
Dark Works, what do you guys make of the claims Maduro will make a deal in exchange for some sort of 2020 election fraud information? Weird conspiracy floating around. No fucking way.
No.
Question for you, John Frasmataz. Would you recommend people stay out of Iran if possible? I see rhetoric which makes me think they'll be nuked. I have relatives in Rasht. I'd go to Iran tomorrow.
I would love to go to Iran, and if my pardon comes through, that's going to be my first foreign trip. I think you're right. Trita Parsi told me just a couple of weeks ago he thinks that another Israeli attack on Iran is coming, or it might even be an Israeli-American attack on Iran is coming. I think that the West smells a little bit of blood in the water. I think the Israelis are really, really good at getting these protests going and paying the MEK to instigate trouble. And I think that an attack is coming, not nuke. No.
Ali, your question is too long to answer. Sir Bikes a Lot was gifted a Ray 2020 membership. Thank you very much. Okay, listen, John's personal experiences with fracking, quickly.
Everybody in my town turned over their backyards. Literally, they turned over their backyards to the fracking companies. My best friend from high school turned over his 2-acre property for $5,000. There are derricks everywhere.
Thanks for the $5 from Veterus. John, do you know about the 2 Egyptian terror suspects taken by the CIA in Sweden in December 2001? One of the biggest scandals here, and they were tortured and quote unquote we got criticized by ECHR.
Yes, it was a scandal, and the same thing happened in Italy as well.
John, are you on Substack?
I am. JohnKiriakou.substack.com.
So am I. Ted Rall. .substack.com. Do you think that Venezuela and Greenland acceleration is to distract public's attention from the Epstein scandal? Partly.
Yeah. Yes.
Let's see. Okay, and I think that is all. It takes us. We didn't cover the climate agreement. I say it doesn't matter that Trump pulled out because the next president can get us back in just like that.
That's right. It's about the funding.
Although it's fucking embarrassing when every fucking country in the world, including the DPRK and Afghanistan, is in this. Every country on earth and not us. Really? It's a bad look.
It is.
All right. So that's it. We're going to be back tomorrow at 9 o'clock Eastern time, Friday. So we'll have a little fun, hopefully. Stay safe. Please stay tuned for the TMI show with me and Manila Chan. Coming right up in a minute here at 10 o'clock Eastern time. At 11 o'clock, a very special DMZ America will be doing a post-mortem of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette with its former fired cartoonist, Rob Rogers, who's also a delightful guest and a really fun cartoonist and a nice guy. Thanks, John. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.